Officer Waldman, thank you for coming here and taking the time and answering our questions. Officer Waldman, you have been a officer of the Chicago Police Department for 8 years now. Is that true?
That's true.
And you've been with your partner, Officer Levy, now for less than a year.
Yeah, right around a year.
And is it true that you and he are loyal to one another?
Yes, it is.
As they say in the maybe in law speak, you've got each other's back. Is that true?
That's true.
Is it also true if you don't have each other's back, life on the streets is more dangerous for you?
Yes, that is correct.
You need to have that type of loyalty to back one another up to keep yourself safe. Isn't that true?
Certainly, I think all police officers do.
It also gives you peace of mind that you have each other's back. Isn't that true?
That is true.
Okay. So it is also safe to say that if you feel there's any disloyalty there, you do not feel safe with that partner. Is that true?
If that were the case, yes, I would not feel as safe.
Okay. We appreciate your work that you do on this night, December 7th, 1996, Friday evening. Is that true?
Uh,
December 7th, 1996, Friday evening. Was that true when this incident took place?
that is true.
Oh, okay. And you and Officer Levy were investigating a burglary in the Humboldt Park area. Is that true?
That's correct.
Okay. And you and Officer Levy were driving an unmarked car. Is that true?
Yes, Chevy Caprice.
And Officer Levy was the driver. Is that true?
That is true.
And you were the passenger.
I was.
Okay. And you were both not in uniform. Is that true?
We were undercover that night, yes.
Okay. And upon investigating this burglary in the Humboldt Park area, you were driving around to try to find a suspect. Is that true?
Yeah, that is correct.
And this is approximately 4 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
Okay. And you're driving around slowly looking for a burglary suspect who may or may not be armed. Is that true?
That is true.
You were unsure if he was armed. Is that true?
We never know if they're armed or not.
Okay. That was a tense situation. That must be,
Little tense. It's the job.
it's stressful being a police officer.
Sure, most people would say so, yes.
Uh, and is it people make mistakes under stressful situations? Is that true?
I suppose some people might.
But you, being a trained officer of the law, and you're trained specifically trained to react coolly and calmly under stressful situations. Isn't that true?
That is true.
However, it's even under stressful situations, police officers who are trained may make mistakes. Is that true?
I suppose it could happen to some officers.
Let's go back to when you spotted Ramirez's car.
Mhm.
You're looking for the suspect of the burglary, and Officer Levy testified he first saw Ramirez's car. Later, you came upon Ramirez's car. And what did you say to the Officer Levy when the second time that he spotted Ramirez's car?
Well, he was driving behind us. We were looking for the suspect, and uh, he was driving kind of erratically, and so I just told Officer Levy to let the guy by.
Okay, so you spotted Ramirez's car and you said let the guy by. When Officer Levy pulled over, uh, Mr. Ramirez pulled up alongside you on the left side. Is that true?
Yeah, on the left side, and kind of pulled in front of us, kind of blocking us in.
Okay. And as he pulled up alongside of you, Mr. Ramirez then, according to you, stepped out of the car to the rear of the car and approached Officer Levy's driver's side window. Is that true?
Yes.
And It is also true that Mr. Ramirez was yelling and saying names. Is that true?
Yeah, he was yelling at us, calling us idiots.
Okay. At this, it is also true, or is it true, that Officer Levy did not say anything to you at this time?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. According to Officer Levy, prior to exiting his vehicle, this record states here that he saw the knife, the alleged knife of Mr. Ramirez prior to exiting the vehicle. Is it Chicago Police Department's policy, or is it smart policy, when an officer sees a knife to yell weapon or knife? It is good policy, it's smart policy to yell weapon or knife. Isn't that true?
Yeah, that's true.
Officer Levy did not yell weapon or gun or knife at this moment. Is that true?
I don't recall.
The record states that you did had no conversation on your deposition, and Levy doesn't remember his conversation. So let me ask you again. Is it that Levy did not yell weapon or gun or knife when he saw, according to the testimony, the knife prior to exiting? Isn't that true?
I don't recall.
Okay. Levy made a mistake by not saying knife. Isn't that true?
I don't recall. It happened so fast.
Let's go back to the Chicago Police Department policy. It is smart policy to yell knife because it keeps other officers safe. Or if there's a weapon in the assailant's hand, it keeps officers safe. Isn't that true?
That's true.
So Levy did not yell knife or weapon when he saw the weapon. Isn't that true?
I don't recall if he did or not, sir. I'm sorry.
The record says he didn't. And let me ask this question again, and I'm sorry to belabor the point, officer, but I want to say again that Levy made a mistake when he did not yell knife. Isn't that true?
I don't recall.
Levy did not yell knife because there was no knife. Isn't that true, Officer Waldman?
No, that's not true.
There is no connection between the alleged knife and Mr. Ramirez, is there? Isn't that true?
Mr. Ramirez stabbed Officer Levy with the knife.
Let's rephrase the question. There is no connection. There is no evidence that connects the knife with Mr. Ramirez other than the testimony given by, as you said earlier, two loyal officers who have each other's back, that he had the knife. There is no connection other than the two officers, you and Officer Levy, saying that Ramirez had a knife. Isn't that true?
But Ramirez had the knife.
You say. But there is no evidence to support that other than two loyal officers that have each other's back that says he had a knife. Isn't that true?
There should have been evidence there. He had the knife.
There is no evidence that supports Officer Levy was stabbed through the jacket. Isn't that true?
There should be evidence that
Other than the testimony between you and Officer Levy, there is no evidence. There is no jacket that supports a stabbing. Isn't that true?
I'm unaware of that, sir.
There is no shirt that supports a stabbing. Isn't that true?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, Officer Levy says he had a jacket and a shirt on that the knife, the alleged knife that there's no connection to, is we've established Mr. Ramirez stabbed the officer with. Officer Levy says there was a jacket and a shirt, but I'm saying to you, I'm asking you the question, there is no evidence to support a jacket, a stabbing. There is no jacket that supports a stabbing. Isn't that true?
Well, the jacket, he stabbed him through the jacket. That's what happened.
As you say, but there is no evidence to support that. In other words, you cannot produce a jacket. Isn't that true?
The evidence was collected at the scene. It's protocol.
Can you produce a jacket?
No, it should be.
Can you produce a shirt?
Should have been collected in evidence.
So you cannot produce a jacket and you cannot produce a shirt. Isn't that true?
It's not my job to do that.
Okay. The reason why you can't produce a jacket, the reason why you can't produce a shirt is because there was no knife. Isn't that true?
But there was a knife.
Thank you for your testimony and your time.